Today, I want to speak to you about the sound in the mulberry trees. This is from 2 Samuel chapter 5, verses 23, 24, and 25. Let me read these three verses to you. Therefore David inquired of the Lord and said, You shall not go up. Circle around behind them and come upon them in front of the mulberry trees. And it shall be, when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees, then you shall advance quickly, for then the Lord will go out before you to strike the camp of the Philistines. And David did so, as the Lord commanded him, and he drove back the Philistines from Geba as far as Gezer. It was a glorious season in David's life. Long hoped-for dreams were now real. He was king over a unified Israel and could lead God's people into battle. At the end of 2 Samuel chapter 5, one victory led to another, and at the end of the chapter, David again inquired of the Lord. After the first victory against the Philistines, David was wise enough to wait on the Lord before the second battle. It's easy for many in the same situation to say, I fought this battle before, I know how to win. This one will be easy. But David always triumphed when he sought and obeyed God. It was good for David to seek the Lord again because this time God had a different strategy for David to use. He told David, You shall not go up, circle around them. God directed David differently in this battle. Even against the same enemy, not every battle is the same. This time God wanted David to circle around the enemy and to wait for God to strike the camp of the Philistines first. Then David would rush in and follow up on what the Lord had already started. How would David know that God struck the camp of the Philistines? God told him to wait for the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees. You know, some ancient rabbis said that this sound was the footsteps of angelic soldiers marching along the tops of the mulberry trees. I don't think that's the case, but whatever the cause of the sound was, when David and his troops heard this sound, they were to rush ahead to victory. Now, this principle is true in our everyday walk with God. When we sense that the Lord is at work, we must advance quickly, like David did, and we will see a great victory won. When we see the work of God happening around us, it's like the sound in the mulberry trees. The rustling sound should awaken us to prayer and to devotion. A time of crisis or tragedy is also like the sound in the mulberry trees. The rustling sound should awaken us to confession and repentance. The principle is simple. When we see God working, we must stir ourselves and advance quickly to follow in His victory. When we find the flow of the Spirit of God, we should jump in. Right now, wherever you are in life, do you hear the sound of the Lord advancing? If you do, then advance quickly right along with what God is doing.